A Christmas Carol. Jacob Marley was dead. There is no doubt whatever about that. Marley was the sole partner and co-proprietor of the counting house of Scrooge and Marley. The sign still hung there, and the firm was still known as Scrooge and Marley. But Marley was as dead as a doornail. Ebenezer Scrooge, the surviving partner, was a man as hard and sharp as flint, and as solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say, "My dear Scrooge, how are you?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him the time. And no man or woman ever asked him the way. He liked it thus. On Christmas Eve, a biting, foggy day, Scrooge sat at his desk in the counting house. His clerk, Bob Cratchit, was in a dismal little cell, trying to warm himself in the small fire. Suddenly, Scrooge's nephew, Fred, burst in.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!
Uncle, will you be joining us for dinner tonight? At least do it for the goodness and cheer of Christmas.
Christmas is merely a time for paying bills without money and finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer. If I had my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. Don't waste any more of my time with these Christmas nonsense.
Fred, seeing he was defeated, wished Bob Cratchit a Merry Christmas and departed. Next, two portly gentlemen entered, soliciting donations for the poor and destitute. Scrooge asked if the treadmill and the poor law were still in full vigor. When they replied yes, Scrooge stated, if they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. The gentleman left in despair. Scrooge worked until it was time to close.
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient and it's not fair, but I suppose you must have it. Be here all the earlier next morning.
I will, sir.
Scrooge went home to his gloomy old chambers. As he put his key in the lock, he saw, instead of the door knocker, the face of Jacob Marley. It had a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. Scrooge blinked, and the knocker was a knocker again. Inside, sitting down to his gruel, he was startled by a ringing sound from the deep cellar below, a clanking, dreadfully disturbing noise. Then, a ghost came in and stood before him. It was Jacob Marley, but dragging an immense heavy chain forged of cash boxes, keys, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. Marley's face was awful.
Who are you? In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. This is the chain I have forged in life, link by link, yard by yard. Your own chain is far heavier, for you have had 7 more years since my death to forge it. I forged mine link by link through greed and worldly care.
I am doomed to wander the earth, witnessing human scenes where I can no longer interfere. My sole mission is to warn you, Scrooge. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
The first will arrive when the bell tolls 1, the second on the next night at the same hour, and the third on the night after when the last stroke of 12 ceases.
Marley floated out, where the air was filled with mournful, restless phantoms, each dragging a similar, clanking chain. Scrooge staggered back to his bed, locked the door, and went to sleep, filled with a great, though still skeptical, dread. Scrooge awoke precisely at 12. He waited nervously, and when the clock struck 1, the curtains of his bed rustled.
Are you the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold to me? I am the ghost of Christmas past.
The spirit commanded Scrooge to rise and walk with it. It touched Scrooge's heart, and they passed instantaneously through the walls and out onto a country road where Scrooge had been a boy. The spirit showed him his old boarding school, cheerless and deserted, save for one solitary boy reading by a feeble fire. Ebenezer Scrooge, alone. The scene changed. Scrooge saw his younger sister, Fan.
I missed you so much, and I have come to bring you home, dear brother. Father is so much kinder now, and we are to be together all the Christmas long.
Fan was the mother of his nephew, Fred, and died young. The spirit transported him again to a bustling warehouse where he was an apprentice. His master, Fezziwig, closed the shop for the night, shouting,
Yo-ho, my boys! No more work tonight! Christmas Eve!
Fezziwig then presided over a grand Christmas party. A fiddle struck up, the tea and cakes were passed around, and the warehouse was filled with joyous dancing. Scrooge watched his former self delight in the festivity.
The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
The words struck Scrooge's ear, and he hung his head, for he was thinking of Bob Cratchit. The scenes became more painful. Scrooge saw himself as a young, striving man, with another person seated beside him, a beautiful young woman, Belle.
It matters little to you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, a golden one.
My dear Belle, please understand that all my efforts are for our future.
I have seen your nobler aspirations fail and your love of gain grow strong. I'm sorry, Scrooge, but I can't do this anymore.
She dissolved their engagement. The old Scrooge groaned, seeing his greatest regret. Finally, the spirit showed him a home scene years later. Belle was now a mother, surrounded by happy children and a kind husband. Scrooge could bear no more. The ghost remained impassive. Scrooge wrestled with the spirit, and with a sudden force of desperation, he extinguished the light emanating from its head with its own cap. He found himself back in his own bed, exhausted, falling into a heavy slumber. Scrooge awoke as the clock struck 1. He was now prepared and waited for the next spirit. A mighty voice called his name, and a flood of light shone from the adjoining room. Scrooge entered to find a most extraordinary sight. The room was transformed into a paradise of Christmas food. Enthroned upon this mountain of food sat a giant spirit, glorious to see. It bore a glowing torch shaped like a horn of plenty, and wore a simple green robe bordered with white fur. The spirit had more than 1,800 brothers, one for every year since the birth of Christ. The spirit carried Scrooge out into the streets, where people were merrily scraping the snow and carrying their dinners. The spirit sprinkled incense from its torch upon them, which caused any sourness to vanish instantly. They flew to the poor dwelling of Bob Cratchit. They found Mrs. Cratchit and her children preparing the modest Christmas feast. The two young Cratchits came running in, boasting that they smelled the goose. Then came Bob Cratchit himself, carrying his youngest son, Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim was a cripple. He bore a little crutch and wore iron frames upon his limbs. The family sat down to the tiny goose, which they magnified with praise. Bob offered a toast. Scrooge was deeply moved.
Tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
The spirit quoted Scrooge's own words.
If he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Scrooge hung his head in penitence. The spirit took Scrooge on a journey around the world, to miners gathered around a fire, to lighthouse keepers on a rock, and to sailors far at sea, all observing Christmas with cheer. Finally, they landed at the home of Scrooge's nephew, Fred. Fred was laughing heartily, and his guests were laughing with him. They were discussing Scrooge, who Fred insisted deserved pity, not anger. Fred proposed a toast to his uncle. He drank to him merrily. Scrooge was so softened that he almost offered to join in the toast, but the spirit pulled him away. The hour grew late. The ghost of Christmas present grew suddenly old. Two pitiful, wretched children, a boy and a girl, emerged from beneath its robe. The boy is ignorance. The girl is want. Beware them both, but most of all, beware this boy. For on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased. The clock struck 12, and as the last stroke ended, the spirit vanished. A solemn, dark phantom, shrouded in a deep black garment, came gliding in. The phantom came upon Scrooge slowly, silently, and gravely. Scrooge trembled, for he felt the spirit's power, though he could see nothing but a ghostly hand and the folds of its black attire.
Are you the ghost of Christmas yet to come? Tell me that I may yet change these shadows you have shown me.
The spirit neither spoke nor moved. The spirit pointed forward with its hand. They were in the city, near the exchange, where a group of businessmen were discussing the death of an extremely rich man, who was so despised that no one would attend his funeral. Scrooge wondered who this dead man was, but the spirit gave no sign. They were next in a wretched part of London, at an infamous rag and bone shop. 3 people had gathered to sell items stolen from the dead man's house, including a shirt, a blanket, and even the very curtains from around his bed. Scrooge was horrified by this utter lack of pity for the deceased man. The ghost silently led Scrooge to a bedchamber in the dead man's house. The room was dark, and on the miserable, uncurtained bed lay a lonely, unwatched body covered by a sheet. Scrooge dared not lift the corner of the sheet to see the face.
Ghost, I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now.
They left the chamber of death and were transported to a poor, humble house where a couple, the Dilber family, was rejoicing with a tearful relief. They owed money to a stern creditor, and with his death, they had a day's grace to gather the payment, a small reprieve from ruin. The dead man's name was never mentioned, yet the effect of his life on others was clear. Finally, the spirit took him to Bob Cratchit's home. The family was quietly mourning. Bob was late, having walked slowly. He explained that he had just been to the place where Tiny Tim lay at rest. Mrs. Cratchit was weeping silently, and Bob tried to comfort them, remembering Tim's patience and goodness. Scrooge broke down. He saw his own name upon a gravestone, Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge fell to his knees before the phantom.
Spectre, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand.
I know that man lying upon the bed was myself.
Why show me this, if I am past all hope? I will honor Christmas in my heart, and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
He reached out to clutch the spirit's hand, but the phantom's hood and dress shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost. Scrooge awoke in his own bed, clutching the bedpost, which was, in fact, his own.
They are not gone. The spirits have done it all in one night. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I have been among the spirit. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby.
He danced about the room, laughing and weeping at the same time. He looked out the window. A boy was passing by in his Sunday clothes.
What's today, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, Christmas Day!
He hired the boy to go to the poultry shop and purchase the largest, prize-winning turkey they had, and have it delivered to Bob Cratchit's house immediately. He chuckled at the idea of Bob knowing who sent it. Scrooge dressed in his best clothes. He was leaving his room when he encountered one of the portly gentlemen who had solicited charity the day before.
My dear sir, a great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?
He whispered the amount, and the gentleman was struck dumb with astonishment at the enormous sum. He walked out into the street. Everything delighted him. The cheerful ringing of the bells, the people hurrying along with smiling faces, and the very air itself. Seeing Fred in the distance, Scrooge crossed the street with a beaming face. He asked if he was still welcome to Christmas dinner, and Freddie said yes. Scrooge spent a wonderful, joyous day with his nephew, his niece, and their guests. The next morning, Scrooge was in the office long before Bob Cratchit. He sat waiting, gloating over the idea of catching him coming in late.
Hello? What do you mean by coming here at this time of day?
I am very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer, and therefore, I am about to raise your salary. A Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, Bob, than I have given you for many a long year. I shall endeavor to assist your struggling family, and we will discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a bowl of smoking, Bishop.
Bob was aghast, believing his master had gone mad. Scrooge was better than his word. He did everything he promised, and infinitely more. He raised Bob's salary, became a second father to Tiny Tim, who did not die. And he became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city ever knew. Some people laughed at his transformation, but Scrooge let them laugh, for he knew that nothing ever happened on this earth for good, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter. Tiny Tim, who grew strong, uttered a favorite saying which Scrooge always understood.
God bless us, every one.